French and Indian War Battles from Decision Games. I recently ordered this from Decision. This is a magazine game without a magazine attached, and that is because Decision Games lets you order magazine games without the magazine. And I didn't want the magazine; I just wanted the game. So I am a huge French and Indian War nut. It is one of my favorite periods of history, and I try and snap up any game that I can on the topic, whether it's a lightweight game or a heavyweight game. I think I have a lot of them. I would not say I have all of them, but I am continually padding my collection of the French and Indian War. And most of the French and Indian War games that exist out there are operational or strategic in nature, and it's very rare that you get tactical French and Indian War games. I know that there is a French and Indian War expansion for Hold the Line from Worthington that's out of print. That's obviously a very simple commands and colors like tactical system, so it's much more of a game than a historical model per se, although I have thought about snatching it up on the secondhand market just to own it. But a recent video that I watched from Stephen Dolges, whose channel covers, very similar to mine, covers a lot of games and gameplay, unboxing, stuff like that. He recently did a video about the new issue of Strategy and Tactics from Decision Games, and it comes with French and Indian War Battles. And the look of the game was really interesting, and I knew that I had to pick it up because you never see tactical French and Indian War games. And you never see tactical French and Indian War games because the scale of the conflict was pretty small. Like the number of soldiers in the armies was not very large. You know, the biggest conflicts in the French and Indian War were a couple thousand on each side. I mean, I think even the Battle of Quebec, which was one of the larger ones, was only, 3,000-4,000 soldiers on one side. So I thought, well, this will be interesting to see how this game models French and Indian War tactical battles, because you're talking about 18th century armies operating in a really dense wilderness, trying to apply European land infantry tactics to a terrain that was not very suitable for it. If you buy the new issue of Strategy and Tactics, it comes with this game. I just bought the game by itself because I didn't need the magazine. As you can see here, we've got 3 scenarios for French and Indian War battles. We've got Lake George, 1755, Fort Oswego in 1756, and then, of course, the big one, the Battle of Quebec in 1759, where the Marquis de Montcalm and James Wolfe both lost their life fighting over the city. It was a British victory and ended the French and Indian War in North America. Here's the rule book. It's typical Decision game style, although this one's dual column. Typically they do triple column. I really like the graphical layout. It is full color here. It's not a long rule book, and there's pretty liberal use of white space here. The spacing is pretty generous. But it does cover all of the things that are going to be in the game. All the different types of units. We'll show you the counters. Artillery and bombardment, obviously going to be big. Movement and stacking. Visibility and fog. North America was a very wild place at this time. We've got zones of control. I assume there's also going to be facing in this game potentially. The combat procedure. So there's looks like 5-step combat procedure. This is all pretty typical Decision game stuff in terms of format. Adjustments to the combat procedure, so terrain, enfilade attacks, leaders. Then you get retreat and pursuit, which is interesting. Cavalry pursuit, units and rallying. So all the sort of the basic block and tackle stuff you'd expect out of a tactical game. Demoralization, reinforcements, exiting the map, light infantry, which were very important during this conflict in this theater. And then some optional rules. So we've got some special tactics markers, it looks like, that you'll use. I'm curious how that's going to work. I didn't really know about that. That's pretty neat. Ambush, volley, bayonet attack. So it looks like there's some ways to pad out the game with some additional fidelity in the rules. Indians and militia bulk, so they're not militia and Native Americans, not very reliable. Here's a great painting of the city of Quebec, I believe. This is the battle on the plains, and here's the St. Lawrence River, the British fleet. Burning, fire, obviously. So the rules go, let's see, what page are we on? 12 pages. So we've got 12 pages of rules, so not a complex game by any means, although definitely meaty enough for the scale, which you'll see in a moment, meaty enough to give you sort of a solid experience, it seems like. Here are all the scenarios with a little bit of historical background, special rules, victory point schemes for how to win. Here's Lake Oswego. And here is the Battle of Quebec, Wolfe's Great Victory. And then on the back here, we've got some special rules and optional rules for Quebec, and then the charts and tables, so the results for combat, bombardment, leader effect summary, and the unit summary of what that means and what status they're in. So very cool. Looking forward to that. Then we've got the map and the counters. Let's do the counters first, and then I'll show you the really peculiar looking map. So we have got, looks like 9/16 inch counters. We've got the British in red, and some of the well-known leaders at the time. Wolfe, obviously, the commander-in-chief in North America in 1759. Townsend, Monckton, Murray, Johnson, Williams, Lyman. So these are the British units. Here's the Iroquois. We've got some French allied Native Americans, it looks like. And then we've got the French in white. So here's Montcalm, Dieskau, and then some of the French regiments, Villiers, de Rigaud. And it looks like the letters correspond to the scenario. So Q would be Quebec, L would be Lake George, and then F would be Fort Oswego battle. So it looks like Montcalm's going to be in a couple of scenarios. We've got demoralization trackers. Here's some of those optional tactics chits. Artillery fired markers, attacks. Here's some artillery units. There's a supply train unit here, Bougainville. So one sheet of counters. They look pretty nice. Can't complain. These are pretty good. They're on they're pretty moderately thick brown core. So I'm going to punch these and probably baggy this game. And then we've got the map, and the map is done really interestingly. You can see that the terrain effects chart is printed on the map, and we've got the demoralization level track here. Let me open this up and show you what they've done. So all three scenarios fit on this single map. So here we have got, so you can see there's different sections basically that get smaller and smaller. And here is the Fort Oswego battle, which is just a very tiny, it's like 3/4 of a single piece of paper, and which is cool. I think it's neat that they were able to fit all of the scenarios on one map, and it just goes to show you that the scale of the combat of the engagements in the French and Indian War were not very large. You can fit the game basically on 3 different scenarios on one map sheet, plus all of the terrain, the combat results table, all of that stuff, the game turn tracks, and so forth. So then here we've got the Battle of Quebec on the Plains of Abraham. Here's the city of Quebec. The French and British engaged out here. Volleys of artillery fire out front of the city. There were British ships on the St. Lawrence as well, gunboats, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Then we've got the Battle of Lake George here. It looks like there's a British camp sort of in a fortified position here, and possibly a retreat or supply location back here. And then we've got the Fort George battlefield, which looks like, we've got the fort up here on the hill, and then we've got Fort Oswego here around Lake Ontario, and probably not very many units on this one. So all in all, I mean, I like it. I like the fact that it's one map sheet, 3 scenarios, simple rules. I'm looking forward to giving this one a shot, just to see what kinds of things are waiting in a sort of tactical French and Indian war game that's very tidy as a package and offers some interesting playability.